What is up, farming family? How y'all doing today? Today, we checking out Vatic Pro. This is a 14mm flash. We're gonna, figure out if this paddle's for you. And by the end of this review, you'll definitely know, so stay tuned. When it comes to the specs, the first thing we're gonna talk about is the thermoformed edges and the unibody construction. That's gonna make the paddle almost indestructible when it comes to snapping at the handle where the handle and the head meet. In previous paddles, they would snap really easy. If you saw Riley Newman and his Gamma paddle, it snapped in the middle of swinging. This paddle won't have that problem. It also has foam injected in the walls for an increased sweet spot, which it definitely helps. It helps a lot. You can tell the sweet spots are a lot bigger on these thermoform foam injected wall paddles than the regular, Generation 1 raw carbon fiber paddles. The average weight is from 7.8 to 8 ounces. The total length is 16.2 inches. The width is 7.7 inches. The grip circumference is 4.25 inches. The grip length is 5.4 inches, and the core thickness is 14 millimeters. The shape of this is really unique compared to all the other paddles that, I've played or seen. Other than the head gravity, it had a really unique, face too. But I really like the shape of this paddle a lot. I just got back from playing with this paddle, and I gotta say that it definitely has more pop than the 16 millimeters. I didn't think it would be too much of difference with 2 millimeter difference from the 14 to the 16. But after playing with it for a bit and playing singles with it for a bit, I noticed a difference in the two paddles, the Flash version. Not talking about any other versions of the paddles right now, just Flash 16 and Flash 14. Probably wouldn't use the Flash 14 much in doubles based off the power. I feel like it has a little too much power and it's not as controllable. But dang, in singles, you can get the ball by somebody quick.
Yeah, I definitely agree. This paddle would probably be fantastic in singles, but for doubles, it's just not really for me because the control is lacking. But the paddle did feel good. It was just way more popular than the 16 millimeter Vatic.
Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't really like the control of this paddle as much as I did a 16 millimeter. If I was going to play a lot of singles, I could definitely see myself using this paddle. But overall, since I play doubles, the 16 millimeter is going to have more control for me. So I would probably lean more to that. I'm not saying by any means that the 14 millimeter is uncontrollable. It's just not as easy to control as the 16 millimeter is. So if you're wanting something with a little more control, the 16 millimeter is that. But if you're wanting something with more power that you can get, balls by people quicker, or if you're a banger, you probably like the 14 millimeter more. There's bangers where I play that like 14 millimeters and thinner paddles because they can get it by people.
Yeah, I didn't really find this paddle that uncontrollable for me. I did get some third shot drops and some dinks. It hung up a little too high sometimes. But for the most part, it wasn't like super uncontrollable.
This paddle has really good spin. If you're doing your slices, your chops, your top spin serves, which everybody I feel should have a really good top spin serve, it is a very good weapon and it makes your third shot a lot easier. And I feel like the 14 millimeter does a great job at that. The 16 millimeter does too, but the 14 millimeter when it comes to your serves has that extra pop that, gets the ball deeper, and it also has a lot more speed on it too. So it's harder for them to hit, and they'll, just try their hardest to get it up, and they'll get a pop up and you'll get a free third shot drop basically. Instead of, you hitting just a little lollygag serve and them getting it all the way back over. The ball is going to dip drastically and they're going to have to scoop the ball. That's what I mean by you're going to get you a pop up.
Yeah, there's really not much to say about the spin. It's a thermoformed foam edge paddle, so it'll get spin very similar to a lot of the same paddle types.
In terms of maneuverability, it did feel a little bit lighter than the 16 millimeter when you had them both in your hand, but I didn't think it made a crazy difference when it came to the hand battles. Maybe it will, if someone else buys the two and they can compare it, but when it came to me, I feel like if I was using the 14 or the 16 when it came to the kitchen and exchanging, fast-paced balls, I wasn't going to struggle with either one of them. The difference was, when you use the 14 millimeter, you're going to hit each of them back with extra pop and extra speed, and it's going to be harder for your opponent to get their paddle up and hit it back. So you're going to win probably more hand battles through, the 14 millimeter, but you're going to end up in worse exchanges because you're going to pop the ball up more because it's not as controlled as the 16 millimeter. But the mobility and moving the ball or paddle around is not really a problem at all, to be honest. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it is a uniform body. It's thermoformed. This paddle shouldn't snap or break or anything like that. I know they were having delaminating issues and they're waiting, to see how the new batch, acts and see if there's going to be problems in that. They said they got a fix. So, if you're looking into this paddle and stuff, just know that that has been a problem. But if that does occur, I feel like you can reach out to this company and a couple of the other companies and they will, do what's right when it comes to your paddle messing up. You're not going to, get stiffed out of the money just because, it messed up, which all paddles have a chance of messing up. So I feel like I would still, take a chance on it, even knowing that the delaminating does have a possibility of happening after a lot of play. When it comes to customization, I definitely put an overgrip on this. I didn't put any lead tape on it. I wanted to see how lightweight it felt and see if the hand battles made a big difference without the lead tape, just like I did with the Flash 16 millimeter without the lead tape. I didn't notice a crazy difference, so I'd probably put lead tape on the throat of it because I'm not going to be sacrificing too much in the hand speed because I feel like the weight difference from the 14 and the 16, I can just make up with just, a piece or two of lead on each side. And it'll probably help the paddle overall, to be honest. But definitely add an overgrip. It's hard to beat the price of Vatic paddles. And I heard they're coming out with cheaper version paddles as well for, people that want, but, more of a budget paddle. When people hear budget, they think it's going to be, horrible quality. But for the price of this, you are getting top-notch quality. Like when you play with a paddle and you get it, you could tell it's made really good and it is going to play really good. Everybody that's played with a Vatic so far, my Vatic has loved it. So I'm thinking, if you get the Vatic, especially for the price, you're probably going to love it too. Oh yeah, and I have a code for 10% off. And just know if you use that code, I will get a drawback from that. But even if you don't use the code, I would still recommend it. Definitely.
And so for the price of this at $140, I really think this is a deal for a paddle that you should definitely look into. You can't really beat the price per performance.
But yeah, this has been my review of the Vatic Pro Flash 14 millimeter. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope this answered your questions when it comes to the paddle and what it's like. I feel like it's more of a power paddle that's for singles. I would probably not use this for doubles. I would stick with a Flash 16 millimeter or the V7. Both of them are really good paddles. I don't feel like you're going to go wrong with either one of them. You're not going to really go wrong with this one either. You're just going to have to put in a lot more focus when it comes to doubles. But for singles though, yeah, definitely 14 millimeter for sure. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope y'all stay safe. Have a good day. Drink plenty of water. Peace, y'all.